morning, Internet. How y'all doing this morning? This is Data coming to you from the Cable Gap Shelter. I slept pretty well last night. It rained pretty hard till like 3 or 4. Now it doesn't sound like it's raining too much, just stuff dripping off the trees. So it's about 6. I think I'm gonna get up, fetch my food bag, try to get an early start on the day. So,
hey there, how y'all doing this morning? This is Data back out on trail. It's about 8 o'clock, and you can see the trail has that mystical kind of look to it this morning. So I just wanted to say hey, get my day started, and I'll show you a little bit of this trail because it's actually pretty interesting. I got into Cable Gap yesterday afternoon, really about 3 o'clock. Settled in to decide if I would keep going or not, and then it cut loose and rained like the dickens for hours. So I spent the night there, as you've seen from the other videos. Got up this morning and it had quit raining. Got about half packed up and had another hiker come through. A gentleman goes by the trail name Walrus, or on Facebook Wandering Walrus. He's actually working as a contract employee doing some kind of site survey work for the ATC and for the trail maintenance clubs. So he's going through with a GPS locator and mapping out the various facilities and the condition they're in on each of the sites, and also trails along the way and some of the side trails, and just to help the ATC build the database that the trail clubs can use when trail maintainers go in and set out to do work on a part of the trail. They have a little bit more information, hopefully. So he's a former U.S. Marine, so hoorah. So anybody out there who's a friend or family Marine, I had an uncle that was a Marine and a cousin. It warmed my heart a little bit to be awakened as I'm getting ready to go with a nice long conversation about a guy who has thru-hiked before and who has served the country as a Marine, out here doing good work. And I did kind of think to myself as I wandered off here at 8, headed south toward Brown Fork Shelter, that it would be a former Marine that's out here at 7 o'clock in the morning hiking this trail with a GPS locator, building documentation and doing reconnaissance on what all needs to be done on the trail. So, you know. So today, my options for a final destination are one of 3 places, depending primarily on the weather, but also a little bit on how I feel. So the first option is Brown Fork Shelter, or Brown Fork Gap Shelter. I'm not sure what it is. It's only about 6.2 miles. There's a little bit of a climb, but it's not horrendous. Later in the afternoon. So the next spot would be a set of tent sites that I knew about, called Locust Cove Gap. And Walrus had done some surveying area and had some good notes on there. Really, there's like 10 campsites there, and probably 4 or 5 of them will still be in good shape even after all this rain. And then the furthest one for the day, which was the original end point, but I don't know that I'll make it today, is about 13 miles, and it's Sassafras Gap Shelter. So, but right now, one of those nice things about the rain in the mountains, this morning, because of all that rain, the temperatures dropped down into the upper 60s. So it's humid, and my clothes barely dried out at all last night. But it's much cooler. That's my first water source of the day. It is about 1.25 miles or so south of Cable Gap Shelter, about halfway up the climb. So, This morning the forest is still all mystical looking and fogged in, but it's not raining yet. Thank goodness. And since it rained last night, you can maybe see off in the distance some of the rhododendrons are opening up into bloom this morning. And I'm taking a little 5-minute standing break. I'm going to hydrate. This is level. This is where I'm going. So you can see I still have some uphill to go, but not too bad. So now the sun has started to come through the trees, which is nice because that means that the rain is not coming quite as soon maybe as I might have feared. It's already almost 9. But you can see that out here at 9 o'clock, the sun comes through. It's still burning off the mist and the fog of the overnight. So it's about 9:30 and I'm 3 miles into my day, so that's 3 miles in 2 hours. That's pretty good considering there was a bunch of climbing. But I have run into a pretty serious blowdown. Doesn't look real fresh because the leaves are dying off already, but it's so it's been here for a minute. It didn't take too long to clear, but this route underneath it, that was not the way to go, turns out. Slope falls off pretty quickly to the left of this picture. So I'm looking northbound now, and actually if you go up and over that main trunk, there's a pretty easy way to climb over the main trunk and then down this side. It's a little bit slick, but there's plenty of things to grab onto too. So now onward to the Cove Gap campsite and a water source. So this is Cove Gap. There's the sign. Came down this way. There's a blue blaze on a tree over there that leads down this hill to a water source. So this is the view to the east or southeast. You can see the clouds kind of rolling in, but it's not yet raining. That is Brown Fork Gap Shelter. And it's 12 o'clock, so I have made really good time today. Now I'm going to take a pack off, shoes off break. Have some lunch. Try to make decisions about do I keep hiking. Well, I had a pretty good lunch break. I've been here about 35 minutes. This is the Brown Fork Gap Shelter, and I actually got 2 or 3 bars on Verizon for a little while, and was able to check in on some things back home. And but it's 12:30. The rain seems to be holding off. Seems to be. And I'm only 5.5 miles out from Locust Gap, which was where I was going to think about camping. So I think I'm going to head out here in a minute, and I'm going to hike on. It's an odd looking configuration on a tree, isn't it? So after about an hour of hiking in the rain lets up, and here I am at Cove Gap in the midst of this great big construction project where they bring you down some nice steps and across the road, and then I'm walking up this gravel on this major construction project. You can see they're going to make this Scott was telling me 4-lane all the way through here. What's wrong? There is actually a picnic table here. A couple of them. And even a little trash can, which is literally going to come in handy right now. I got just a little bit of garbage from lunch I can get rid of. And then I noticed that there was a water cache over by a sign there. And I had cameled up back at that water hole back near Brown Fork, but it's been so hot that I drank a bit of that water. So I was grateful for that water cache, because now I'm hiking on to Locust Gap Campsite, but I don't have to worry about the intermittent water source that is down a steep hill at Locust Gap. Clearly you can see from the sunshine the rain has stopped completely. It rained like crazy. Thunderstorm, lightning really got my attention for a minute, from literally 1 to about 2. And you can see right now it's about 2:30 and it's just completely quit raining. The sun is out. Things are even starting to dry out a little bit. Well, I made it to Mount Possible. Well, folks, it is 4:30, and I made it to Locust Cove Gap. I'm going to throw up my Durston as quick as I can. That's beautiful. I'm going to set up camp right about here, but I'm going to have to get about it right now because the rain acts like it might want to come in again. I got everything set up. Took me about a half an hour really altogether, because I had I put the Durston up in like 10 minutes. It went up quick. But you can see my drawers hanging on it, and then I've got some stuff hanging out over here, and I have other clothes hanging up on a clothesline I put up. It's just, yeah, I just got saturated today with rain between 1 and 3, and 1 and 2:30, I don't know, somewhere in there. And it rained really, really hard, but I hiked through it. It was fine. The raincoat held up pretty well, but I did get just wet to the skin. So when I got here, I've changed into my camp clothes and dried out, and I'm cold soaking my dinner right there and sitting on a log. I've called Mrs. Data and we followed up. I actually have 2 bars on Verizon, just for future other hikers note. You do get 2 bars on Verizon here. But maybe my favorite part about this campsite is just on the other side of that little fire pit area opposite my tent, there's a great big stand of rhododendrons. And they're all in bloom, or at least at the end of their bloom for the year. So that's a very aesthetically pleasing place to get to pinch my tent tonight. So I'm sitting in my Durston thinking that I would do a summary video. I don't normally do these, but I think it would be helpful even to me in the future. So today I hiked 11.8 miles from Cable Gap Shelter to the Locust Cove Campsite. It was about 3,300 feet of ascent and about 2,600 feet of descent. I started about 7, I finished about 4:30. I got rained on really, really heavily, but only for a little while, from about 1 o'clock to 2:30, something like that. Then it quit raining. It dried out. I did not dry out. My clothes are still hanging on the line out there. I don't know if they'll dry or not. But I'm waiting on my dinner to cold soak, and it was a pretty good day. I have a little bit less intense day on the plan for tomorrow. Yeah, it was a good day. I had some high points. I liked. So I had a couple of high points. I met a guy whose trail name is Walrus, and he's doing a survey project for the ATC assessing the status of all the various facilities that we use on trail, campgrounds, side trails, privies, everything, one at a time. So he's got a couple of guys working with him, and they've been evidently working on this project for a while this year. I think it's a couple of year-long project, so some other folks might run into them as they're out doing these assessments, and if they do, you know, I would, you know, he listened. We had a good conversation, so that was nice. I met 3 gentlemen hiking together, 2 of whom were deaf, and that was interesting. And then I met a few other people hiking on trail, but not a lot today. More than I have so far, so I probably ran into 5 or 6 people total today. But I have this campsite all to myself, and that's been nice. And I'm going to try to get up and get a really early start tomorrow. It's not supposed to rain. There's like maybe a 25% chance. So if I can get a really early start tomorrow, maybe I can get that climb up to Chia Bald out of the way before it heats up. At least that's my goal. So this is data from day number 3 of this section hike of the Appalachian Trail, saying happy trails to all of you.